you have a great fighter like Andy Cruz, it's an easier job. In the past, it's been difficult to build Cuban fighters and make them household names, but he's an outstanding fighter that has the ability to move very, very quickly.
Are you saying that because of his style? Normally the Cuban style?
Just generally. I mean, look, he's got a different kind of style. He's still got Cuban style, but he's an outstanding fighter. It's just difficult to build, sometimes a Cuban fighter in America. Sometimes history has shown us that. But he is outstanding and could move very quickly. And if he had the right promoter and the right hype behind him, I feel like the boxing fans would automatically be engaged immediately because they already know how good he is.
Gotcha. Just the last one about Andy. Do you think when he does, if he does end up turning pro, do you think he could change the landscape at 135?
Too early to say. The man has a lot of ability. Professional game is a different game. Same sport, different game. But, he's an outstanding fighter.
Gotcha. Now talking about Canelo versus Triple G, man, do you think too many people are not giving Triple G enough respect?
I think he looks great. I mean, people talk about his age. I think he looks great. I really believe that 168 is going to help him a lot because you can't, in my opinion, fight at the same weight for as many years he's been doing. You saw in the Murata fight, it was difficult for him to make that weight. He's going to be bigger and stronger at 68. He's going to be more robust. And Canelo's he's like a Rottweiler. He's got to be a little bit careful. Like he said in the media huddle earlier, you were there, that he's going to go he's going to be ruthless. He's almost going to go without fear, which is to do that against a huge puncher like Gennady Golovkin. I mean, listen, for the fans and for us, it's incredible, but it's a very, very dangerous way to fight Gennady Golovkin, although he did it in the second fight, but I just feel like this fight won't go 12 rounds.
You keep saying, and Canelo's also saying, that he hasn't had as much animosity with anybody.
Never seen him like this.
Well, he was like that with Caleb Plant. There wasn't a lot of animosity.
No, to be honest with you, I wasn't involved with that fight. One. Number two, that was obviously from the first presser, and after that it sort of calmed down a little bit. But this is deeper. Like from the first fight, like I said, you don't need Canelo Alvarez to sell pay-per-views. You would never say to Canelo, at the head-to-head, make sure you get up close to him. He's too big a star for that. He's doing it off his own back, and he did it again today. There's something inside him for this fight, and he wants Gennady to say what he's been saying to the media. That's why I called those quotes out today. I wanted, because on one hand, Gennady says, I respect him, it's not about that, and on the other hand, you look at what he said, and,
Well, that was the thing, because at the round table, Canelo said it again, but he never actually said, what pisses him off about what Triple G said until I actually asked him.
Yeah.
So, why don't you think Triple G wants to say those type of stuff?
I think it's important for Triple G, that face of respect and sportsmanship in the sport, and I don't think he wants to play that game but he said it in the past, but he said it probably out of frustration or after a fight or when he's been provoked. But there was a little bit more from him up there, when he talked about he feels like it's going to be the best Triple G you've ever seen in this fight, and him and Jonathan Banks truly believe they will win this fight, and it's a tough ask, but I think it's going to be a thriller.
Eddie, in regards to people not giving Triple G the credit or whatnot because of age, how important is it for you as a promoter to kind of guide Triple G for the biggest fight after the Canelo fight at 60 or 68?
Yeah,
of
course, this is the natural fight to make. It's the biggest fight in boxing, and I don't see other fights that motivate either man. For Canelo Alvarez, there's only two fights he's interested in: this one and the Bivol rematch. Other than that, do the fights motivate him? They become money fights, and I don't think Canelo Alvarez is in the game for money fights. I think that's why you saw him move up to 75 to fight Bivol. Yeah. He wants to be challenged, he wants to be tested. So I just feel that these are the kind of fights that excite him. Yeah. And for Triple G, coming off having to go to Japan after nearly 500 days out of the ring in Murata's backyard and stop him in a performance that some people say, he didn't look that good. Right, for 2 rounds, he looked rusty in that fight, and I think he finds it hard to make 160. Yeah. He still went through the gears and smashed him to pieces in Tokyo and stopped him to unify the division. So, you're going to see, I think, a strong, robust Gennady Golovkin on September 17th. And I think, I agree, I don't think either fighter will take a step backwards.
In regards to the standards, right? Everybody kind of criticizes, praises Canelo about his resume competition. What would you say for those that kind of don't give those same criticisms to Triple G and not fighting?
Well, he hasn't been able to land the fights that he wanted, especially over the last 5 years.
Okay.
You know, and when he was calling out all those fights, listen, I turned fights down for some of my fighters when he was coming through. Fuck that. Like, you know, I mean, we did the Kell Brook fight. Darren Barker went, you know, when he had a shot, he was the most feared fighter, Gennady Golovkin, and it only took really probably the Canelo fight for people to start saying, okay, well, he hit Canelo Alvarez with everything and he couldn't stop him. So, you know, and those guys like Derevyanchenko, Murata started stepping up against Triple G because they started to believe that he was beatable.
Yeah.
But he's still one of the biggest pound for pound punchers in the world. He's got a granite chin and he's brilliant. He's one of the great fighters of our generation.
In regards to the